had a horrible day, and when my anxiety spiraled, I texted my boyfriend for comfort. What I didn't expect was for him to read the messages out loud on his gaming stream, complete with fake sobbing sounds and a mocking voice. And 12,000 people were watching live. That night, I didn't cry, I packed. 3 weeks later, he sent me a 7-page apology letter, but by then, his fan base was gone. Let me back up. We met on Bumble 2 years ago. He had a picture of himself in a Pikachu onesie and said he could beat anyone at Mario Kart. I messaged him just to call him out. 3 days later, we were ordering pad thai on his couch and watching reruns of The Office. Classic rom-com vibes. His name was Kieran, and he made me laugh at a time when I hadn't laughed in a while. Back then, I was still picking up the pieces from a brutal breakup and trying to stabilize after a rough patch with my anxiety. He knew all that, how I had trouble sleeping, how crowded places overwhelmed me, how sometimes I just shut down. Kieran didn't flinch. He called me brave, said he admired how open I was. That's what made me fall for him. That and the way he used to bring me tea when he noticed my hand shaking. Or how he added a BRB screen to his stream once, just to text me back during a rough moment. Back then, flash forward to last Thursday. I'd had one of those days, bad sleep, late bus, passive-aggressive emails from my boss. Everything felt loud, my chest was tight. I could feel that awful buzzing under my skin. That meant I was on the verge of a panic attack. I didn't want to freak out alone, so I did the only thing I could think of. I texted Kieran. Just a few messages, nothing dramatic. Hey, I'm spiraling a bit. Can you call me after stream? Feeling super overwhelmed. Sorry to bug you. Just need to hear your voice when you can. I set my phone down and tried breathing exercises. The ones he always said helped. I didn't know he was live. I didn't know he'd read my texts out loud to his chat. And I definitely didn't know he'd put on a fake high-pitched voice and say, OMG, I'm spiraling. Can you validate my existence? I didn't find out until the next day, when my friend Jules sent me the clip. Skip to 32 to 14, she said. Prepare to punch a wall. I watched it, in full. And with each second, I felt myself getting smaller. He was laughing. His chat was laughing. Someone donated 5 to say, L guy, alert dump the needy chick. And Kieran? He read that too, out loud, with a smirk. Nah, she's just going through one of her little things again. She'll be fine. I stared at the screen, mouth dry, chest hollow. I wasn't even angry yet, just numb. But anger was coming. I didn't sleep that night, not even a second. I just lay there in our bed, his side cold, because he'd fallen asleep on the couch again, probably editing highlights. My phone screen was burning into my face as I scrolled through the clip Jules sent me over and over. Each time I noticed a new detail. The way he laughed when someone said she sounds exhausting. How he smirked when reading my message out loud, mocking my actual words like I was some clingy 13-year-old begging for attention. How he casually brushed off my panic attack like it was just content. I didn't even know what hurt more, the fact that he mocked me, or the fact that they laughed. Thousands of people who didn't even know me, reducing me to some pathetic punchline in the middle of a Thursday night gaming stream. By 4 a.m. I wasn't numb anymore. I was shaking. I opened his desktop. No hesitation. No guilt. Kieran wasn't just a streamer. He was also deeply, terminally online. Always networking, always chatting, always building his brand. Which meant his Discord was always open. I clicked into it without even thinking. The server pings, the mod chat, the private DMs. I told myself I was looking for context. Maybe he was venting. Maybe it was a terrible joke taken out of context. I wanted to find a reason not to leave him. Instead, I found her. Her name was Tasha, a Twitch affiliate from Portland. Blue hair, huge following, and a pinned selfie that made my stomach churn, not because she was hot she was, but because the caption said, "Can't wait for you to visit again. K, miss your sleepy voice." I clicked the thread. 57 messages. Some were innocent collabs, Twitch schedules, equipment recs. But then, 5 nights ago, Kieran, I wish I could fall asleep next to you instead of the chaos gremlin. Tasha, she's still having breakdowns? Kieran, LMAO. Yeah, last week she cried because she couldn't find her AirPods. It's like babysitting a toddler with Wi-Fi. Chaos, gremlin, babysitting. I felt like I was going to throw up. And yet I kept reading. Tasha, just be honest with her. Tell her you're not her emotional support boyfriend. Kieran, it's complicated. She helped me grow the stream. She knows the brand. Tasha, so she's your mod with benefits? Kieran, he didn't deny it. He didn't correct her. He laughed. At 5:42 a.m., I closed the laptop. At 5:45 a.m., I opened my suitcase. He still didn't know I knew. He was asleep on the couch, headset still around his neck, like a gamer cliché in a bad breakup movie. His phone was buzzing from Discord alerts, probably from her. I stared at him for a long time. He looked peaceful. I felt rage. Then I did the pettiest thing I've ever done. I opened Twitch, went to his page, and changed the About Me section. This stream is run by a man who mocks his girlfriend's panic attacks for content. Enjoy the show. Then I logged out, packed the rest of my stuff, took the cat. Sorry, not sorry, she likes me better. And I left. By the time I made it to Jules' apartment, I'd already muted every notification on my phone. It was 7:12 a.m. She opened the door in a hoodie, blinking sleep out of her eyes. One look at my face. No words exchanged. She just pulled me in. We didn't talk right away. I curled up on her couch with a blanket and the cat, who was still mildly offended about the car ride, but clearly preferred chaos over cruelty. Jules handed me a mug of too hot coffee and just sat there. I changed his Twitch bio, I said eventually, my voice cracking like my hands were made of glass. She blinked. You what? Told the truth. And that's when we heard it, the Twitch alert sound. It was unmistakable. Jules had her streamer notifications on. Oh my God, she whispered, snatching her phone. He's live. I didn't want to look. I wanted to crawl under a pile of throw pillows and disappear into a reality show marathon, where the worst betrayal was someone hiding the last rose. But I had to look. Jules mirrored it on her TV and muted the volume for a second. There he was, looking freshly showered, slightly hungover, wearing his I paused my game to be here hoodie like he was the main character in an indie apology video. The title of the stream? Clearing the Air, Let's Talk. He sat in silence for a few moments, staring at the camera like it was staring back with judgment. I recognized that expression. It was the face he made when he was about to spin a half-truth into a full-on narrative. We turned the volume up. I just want to start by saying I've seen what people are saying, he began, voice low and practiced. About the clip. About Elle. Jules snorted. Elle? He hasn't called you that in months. I never meant to hurt anyone, he continued. You guys know I joke around on stream. Sometimes I take it too far. That's on me. But to say I don't care about her, that I made fun of her panic attack, that's not fair. He rubbed his face dramatically, like a kid pretending to cry during a school play. I love her. I've always loved her. But we've been going through stuff. And when you're trying to balance a relationship and a growing career, sometimes things get messy. Messy. He was describing emotional betrayal like it was a spilled drink on the way to a sponsorship deal. I want you all to know that Elle means the world to me. She supported me when no one watched my stream. She believed in me. Jules and I just stared, my heart twisted, because some of that was true, and that hurt even worse. Then he added, I read her texts on stream because I was worried. She'd sent some concerning stuff before. I didn't know how to handle it. I was venting. I shouldn't have done it publicly, but I wasn't mocking her. I was scared. I still am. Scared? He sounded like a victim, like he was the one who got humiliated. And then the real twist. I'm not gonna name names, he said carefully, but someone who's been blowing this up? She's not innocent either. She went through my stuff. She exposed private messages. She changed my bio without consent. Jules dropped the remote. Oh my God, he's trying to flip it, she gasped. He's trying to make you the villain. The chat was going wild, half supportive, half calling him out, but the damage was done. He had planted the seed. And soon, it wasn't just the chat, it was TikTok, Reddit, Discord. I watched, in real time, as strangers dissected my mental health, my privacy, my intentions, all because Kieran didn't want to admit he'd crossed a line. He could have said, I messed up. Instead, he made me look unstable. I hadn't planned on saying anything. I'm not the clapback type. I don't air dirty laundry online. I've always been the, let's just take the high road and heal in private kind of girl. But healing in private wasn't working. Because Kieran had just weaponized my silence. And now, complete strangers were commenting on my old Instagram selfies with gaslighter vibes and crazy ex energy. Someone even messaged me on Twitter saying I should get help instead of ruining careers. I wanted to scream, but instead I posted. I opened my Notes app, because every Gen Z girl knows a good Notes app confession hits different. And I wrote from the heart. Caption, since he wanted to go live, here's my side. Screenshot text, I never asked for attention. I asked for respect. Last week, I had a panic attack and reached out to someone I loved and trusted. Instead of support, I became content. Kieran read my texts on a live stream. In front of thousands. He mocked my mental health with fake voices and laughing emojis. Then he told people I was overreacting when I found out. That would have been enough hurt for one lifetime. But I also discovered messages to another woman calling me a, quote, chaos gremlin and a mod with benefits. I didn't go public to start drama. I left quietly. He went live to paint himself as a victim. So here's me reclaiming the narrative. I'm not crazy. I'm not unstable. I'm not the villain in his redemption arc. I'm just a woman who loved someone who used her vulnerability for laughs, and I'm done being quiet about it. I didn't tag him. I didn't even mention his full name. But people knew. I posted it late at night. Just intended it for the people who actually knew me. I went to bed thinking maybe it would get a few likes, maybe a comment or two. By morning, it had 48,000 shares. Comments from strangers, creators, streamers, even therapists. This is not drama. This is a boundary. I had something similar happen. Thank you for speaking up. Normalize not turning your partner into content. By noon, people had started unfollowing Kieran. Other streamers started pulling collabs. A few even duetted the clip with reactions of disbelief. I wasn't even celebrating. I felt, still, like I'd said the thing I was holding in for too long. But Kieran? Oh, he was livid. He texted me 14 times that day. First it was, can we talk? Then, you're ruining everything. And finally, I made you. Don't forget that. That one made me laugh. I made him. I was the one holding the camera during his first viral TikTok. I was the one editing his early stream clips, because he didn't get the software. I was the one who believed in him before anyone else did. He didn't make me, but I might have just unmade him. Jules was sitting across from me, half in shock as the numbers climbed. You okay? She asked gently. And for the first time in a week, I actually answered honestly. I think so, I said. I think I'm finally okay. And just like that, my phone buzzed with an Instagram DM request from Tasha, the blue-haired streamer from his DMs. She had something to say. I stared at the DM notification like it might explode in my hands. Tasha, the Twitch streamer with the pastel blue hair, the huge following, the one who Kieran had been calling late at night and texting behind my back, the same girl who called me a chaos gremlin in his messages. She'd written, "Hey, I just saw your post. We need to talk. Please." I didn't answer right away. I was expecting something snarky, a denial, maybe a passive-aggressive sorry, not sorry from someone who knew exactly what she was doing. But 10 minutes later, she followed up with something that stopped me in my tracks. I didn't know you existed. That's when the anger I had stored up like storm clouds split down the middle, because I suddenly wasn't mad at her. Not like I thought I would be. I was mad at him. Again. Mad that he had played both of us like characters in his little game. Mad that he'd been mocking my breakdowns while scheduling collabs and late-night voice chats with someone he pretended to be single around. So I messaged her back, talk. She responded instantly and asked if she could call. So yeah, I let her. And what I heard? It made the live stream betrayal look like child's play. I stared at the DM notification like it might explode in my hands. Tasha, the Twitch streamer with the pastel blue hair, the huge following, the one who Kieran had been calling late at night and texting behind my back. The same girl who called me a chaos gremlin in his messages. She'd written, "Hey, I just saw your post. We need to talk. Please." I didn't answer right away. I was expecting something snarky, a denial, maybe a passive-aggressive sorry, not sorry from someone who knew exactly what she was doing. But 10 minutes later, she followed up with something that stopped me in my tracks. I didn't know you were his girlfriend. That's when the anger I had stored up like storm clouds split down the middle. Because I suddenly wasn't mad at her. Not like I thought I would be. I was mad at him. Again. Mad that he had played both of us like characters in his little game. Mad that he'd been mocking my breakdowns while scheduling collabs and late-night voice chats with someone he pretended to be single around. So I messaged her back. Talk. She responded instantly and asked if she could call. So yeah, I let her. And what I heard? It made the live stream betrayal look like child's play. I just want to say I'm sorry. Seriously. I feel sick about this, she said. I thought you two had broken up months ago. He said you were still living together because of the lease. That it was complicated. That you were just roommates now. I didn't respond. Just let her talk. He never used your name. Said you were too unstable for social media. That you tried to sabotage his career before. He said if I ever saw posts about him, it was just drama from an ex trying to get attention. I literally had to sit down. My hands were shaking. He called you unstable? I said, finally speaking. My voice was so low it surprised even me. Yeah, Said you had these episodes, that he felt trapped but didn't want to kick you out because he was scared you'd hurt yourself. I felt like my lungs forgot how to work. Not only had he turned me into a meme for content, he'd built an entire persona of me as some unhinged, unstable ex to justify his cheating. And Tasha? She was crying now. I swear I would never have flirted with someone who had a girlfriend, let alone someone going through that. I thought I was helping him through a rough situation. You called me a chaos gremlin, I said, voice shaking but steady. She winced. I know, and I'm sorry. I thought he was venting about an ex who stalked his Twitch and sent him long texts, and God, I feel so stupid. We sat in silence for a beat. I could hear her breathing hard through the phone, trying not to cry harder, and against every part of me that wanted to hate her. I got it, because I'd been her too. Once, believing every story he told about his crazy ex, trusting the charming guy with the clever jokes and the side smirk, thinking he wouldn't lie to me. And now we were both here, two women caught in the same manipulation loop. He's still texting me, I said quietly, trying to guilt trip me, make me feel like I'm ruining his career. Same, she whispered. He messaged me an hour ago, said if I defended you publicly, it would ruin his brand, told me to keep it quiet and let things blow over. I clenched my jaw. Of course he did. That's when Tasha asked the question that changed everything. Do you want to go public? Together? Tasha and I spent the next 5 hours on the phone. Not trauma bonding, not venting, strategizing. Because once you realize you weren't crazy, once you realize you were just gaslit, minimized, and used, something switches. You go from feeling broken to furious, from panicked to powerful. Tasha had screenshots. I had screenshots. Between the two of us, we had a timeline, and it was damning. Messages from Kieran telling her we were done dated weeks before he read my texts on stream. Flirty DMs while I was cooking dinner 10 feet away. One even said, "Don't worry, she doesn't watch my streams anymore. It's safe." Spoiler alert, I did watch, just not the way he expected. We decided we weren't going to drag him. We were going to tell the truth. Together. Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, all posted at once. 9 p.m. sharp. A joint note screenshot. 2 initials signed at the bottom. ET caption. This is for anyone who's ever been called crazy for telling the truth. Text. We didn't know about each other, but he knew about both of us. For the past 5 months, we've each been manipulated, lied to, and pitted against a version of the other that didn't exist. He called one of us unstable, the other a placeholder. He turned private pain into public entertainment. We've stayed silent, one out of shame, the other out of confusion. But silence only protects the person who caused the harm. So this is our voice. This is our line in the sand. If someone treats your love like content, like convenience, like control, walk, then talk, loudly, E.T. The response was nuclear. The post hit 100K likes in under 3 hours. Verified accounts started commenting. Mental health creators, streamers, even a few exes of other streamers shared it, stitching their own stories of emotional abuse masked as content creation. By midnight, people had started tagging Kieran non-stop. He couldn't block fast enough. Then came the final nail. Tasha dropped her video, a simple one. No makeup, just her, in front of a plain white wall. Hi, I'm Tasha. If you've been following a certain streamer who just went viral for mocking his girlfriend's mental health live on camera, yeah, I'm the other girl. I didn't know he was in a relationship, but now I do. And so do all of you. She included a screen recording at the end, him calling me a gremlin, claiming we were roommates, and that his fans would eat me alive if I tried to expose him. That video alone hit 1.3 million views by morning. Kieran went dark. No stream, no apology. He posted a single black square on Instagram with the caption, "Taking time to reflect. Be kind. Be kind." As if we were the ones who turned someone's panic attack into a punchline. I won't lie. I felt a twinge of guilt, just for a second, because that's what people like him do. They train you to feel bad for setting boundaries. But Tasha texted me the second she saw it. You didn't ruin him. He just finally got seen. I could feel it coming. The comeback arc. The "I've learned, I've grown, please subscribe" video that every exposed creator seems to think will magically reset the clock. And right on cue, 6 days after his silence began, Kieran reappeared. No warning, no trailer. Just a YouTube video titled, "My Side of the Story," A message to everyone, 19 minutes, black hoodie, sad music, in the intro, check, check, check. I watched it alone, with headphones on, curled up in Jules's guest room with my laptop resting on the pillow he used to sleep on when we stayed over. The irony. The video starts with him staring solemnly into the camera. Dramatic sigh. Long pause. Classic YouTuber apology posture. Hey guys, I've been offline for a bit. I needed time to reflect. Okay, I thought. Let's see if you reflected on anything but yourself. I want to take full accountability for what happened. Even though a lot of things were taken out of context. There it is. The pivot. The sorry but moment. He went on to explain that yes, he read my messages on stream, but only because he was scared. That yes, he said things he regretted, but people don't understand what it's like to be with someone who struggles with anxiety. He framed it as him being burned out and under pressure, and me being emotionally unpredictable. Then he tried to shift the focus to cancel culture, claiming it was unfair that his private life got weaponized by two girls who didn't understand boundaries. I laughed out loud at that one. Boundaries? You mean the ones I set when I asked you to respect my mental health? Or the ones you crossed when you sent Tasha a voice memo while lying in bed with me? The worst part? The comments. His fanboys were back. We forgive you, bro. Haters gonna hate. This is what happens when you date emotionally unstable women. I felt my whole body go hot. My heart wasn't just broken anymore, it was boiling. Because he wasn't apologizing. He was rebranding. I screenshotted everything. Then Tasha and I posted another update. Simple. No fluff. Just facts. A side-by-side video. On one half, clips from his apology, where he said she never told me she was having a panic attack. On the other, a screen recording of my actual texts. I'm spiraling. I'm having a really bad episode. Can you please call me when you can? On one half, him saying he never lied to Tasha. On the other, screenshots of DMs where he told her I was just a roommate, too unstable for social media, and that we hadn't kissed in months. We'd literally gone to brunch that morning. The internet went wild. Again, people started stitching his video with manipulation tactics 101. Therapists made entire breakdowns of his gaslighting. Even streamers who'd stayed quiet before started unfollowing. And the final twist? Tasha got offered a podcast interview. She asked if I'd join her. So the two unstable girls sat down, 2 weeks later, and told our actual story. Not just the cheating, not just the mockery, but the patterns. How charming becomes controlling. How jokes become cruelty. How you go from love of his life to liability the second you stop being useful. It wasn't about canceling him. It was about taking the microphone back. I thought I knew the full scope of Kieran's toxicity. Thought I had uncovered every lie, every manipulation, every cruel little joke he'd ever told at my expense. But then, she messaged me. Her name was Riley. And she started her DM with a sentence that gave me full body chills. You don't know me, but I was Kieran's girlfriend before you. And I've been watching this whole thing unfold in absolute déjà vu. Déjà vu. The word echoed in my head like a warning bell. Jules was sitting next to me when the message came through. I read it out loud, and she just shook her head. Of course there's a trail. Guys like him always have a trail. I responded cautiously. I didn't know her, and honestly, I was tired. Tired of drama. Tired of reliving things. Tired of him. But Riley wasn't there to gossip. She was there to confirm a pattern. We hopped on a call later that evening, just to talk. And what she told me, it made me realize Kieran didn't just become this way. He'd been like this for years. Riley met him 3 years before I did, before the Twitch fame, before the sponsorships. Back then he was just a college dropout trying to build a brand. He was sweet at first, she said. Supportive, funny, a little cocky, but I thought it was charming. Sound familiar? Things started to shift when she got a promotion at her job. Suddenly he wasn't so supportive anymore. He'd make sarcastic comments like, "Don't forget about us little people," and joke that she should sponsor his career since she was the one with health insurance. He convinced her to fund his first gaming PC, told her it was an investment in their future. And then, he cheated. Not once. Not even with one person. With 3 different girls from his Discord server. And when Riley found out, he told her she drove him to it. You were too focused on work. I needed someone who made me feel seen. When she tried to warn people, he said she was unstable, that she had jealousy issues, that she tried to cancel him out of spite. And guess what? People believed him. She lost friends over it. Mutuals unfollowed her. She quietly deleted her socials and disappeared until now. I watched your video with Tasha, Riley said, voice shaky, and I cried. Because that was the first time I didn't feel crazy. You validated everything I went through. I sat there with tears in my eyes, phone balanced on my knee, because suddenly it all clicked. The way he told me his last ex was obsessed, how he'd barely survived that breakup. He'd primed me to doubt her, so that when he started acting shady, I'd blame myself, not see the pattern. But now there were 3 of us. We added Riley's story to the timeline, carefully, respectfully, with her consent. No dragging, just facts. We blurred names. We kept it anonymous. But people connected the dots. The timeline was too clean. And suddenly, we weren't just 2 bitter exes. We added Riley's story to the timeline, carefully, respectfully, with her consent. No dragging, just facts. We blurred names. We kept it anonymous. But people connected the dots. The timeline was too clean. And the wildest part? Kieran still hadn't taken accountability. But his silence? That was louder than any apology he could have posted. Then he showed at my door one last time. It started with a text. Kieran, I know you hate me, but please, 5 minutes. In person. No cameras, just us. I stared at it for 10 full minutes. He had stayed silent for weeks. No response to the timeline post. No real apology. Just weak, performative damage control. And now suddenly, he wanted to talk? I didn't reply. So he sent another. You said I turned you into content. Let me prove you're more than that. Oh, the audacity. It would have been laughable if it didn't sting a little. Because some small, bruised part of me still remembered the early days. Him making grilled cheese at midnight, leaving handwritten notes on my laptop, whispering you're safe with me when I woke up from nightmares. But that was the version he sold me. The real Kieran? He was the guy who mocked me on livestream, who lied to me for months, who told a different girl I was just a roommate while sleeping in my bed. So no, I wasn't falling for it. But I also wasn't gonna pretend I wasn't curious. And that's what got me into this mess. Jules and I were watching Love is Blind reruns. Honestly, the irony wasn't lost on either of us. When her phone buzzed, she glanced down, frowned, then turned to me slowly. You didn't tell him where you were staying, right? My stomach dropped. Why? She held up her phone. There's a guy outside in a black hoodie pacing near my apartment door. One of my neighbors just texted me. I flew to the peephole. There he was, Kieran, looking smaller than I remembered, shoulders hunched, hair a mess. Hoodie sleeves pulled over his hands like he was trying to shrink himself. He wasn't live streaming. No cameras. Just a man outside the door of a woman he broke. I didn't tell him where I was, I whispered. Jules shook her head. He must have guessed. Or checked your location history. You used to sync calendars, right? I felt sick. He knocked once, twice. Please, he called out. His voice sounded different. Raw. Desperate. I just need to say something. Please. L. I don't know what possessed me, but I cracked the door. Just enough to look him in the eye. He looked at me like someone seeing color for the first time. L. He whispered. You look healthy. Not beautiful. Not strong. Healthy. Like I'd been sick with him. I didn't say anything. He shoved his hands in his pockets, then spoke quickly, like he'd rehearsed it 100 times. I know I messed up. I know I hurt you. I was scared. I panicked. I didn't know how to deal with everything, and I lashed out. I stared. You mocked me, I said. On stream. You made jokes about my panic attack while thousands watched. He flinched. I know. I was trying to seem cool. Like, for the stream. I thought if I acted like it was nothing, I wouldn't have to admit how scared I was. So instead, you made me your content. He nodded slowly. Yeah. And I'm sorry. I'll keep saying it until you believe me. And what about Tasha? I asked. Riley? The other girl from Discord? The one from your mod server who said you promised to fly her out in August? His face paled. You think this is the first time someone's caught on, Kieran? This is just the first time you couldn't spin it. He stepped closer. Elle, please. I'm trying to change. That's when Jules opened the door wider. She's already changed, Jules said coolly, standing next to me. You're just late to the party. I watched the last shred of hope drain from his face. He finally got it. He wasn't getting his redemption arc. He wasn't getting me. I closed the door, locked it, turned my phone off. And for the first time in forever, I didn't feel anxious after confrontation. I felt powerful.